Okay, listen,
That's a good
our
one.
energy is gonna. I'm way too close to this camera. Look at me. I'm like, hello. I tell you a story. There we go. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So happy Friday, girl.
Yes, happy Friday. We're both in blue lace too. Kind of a
Yes,
lacy
it's
blue.
very princessy. Look, I got my. I don't know. It was
Yeah,
the most
yeah.
princessy. It was.
Totally.
I.
I was gonna wear a crown. I actually do have a bunch of crowns, but then I decided against it.
Oh my gosh. No, that's so cute though. I love that. That's so precious. No, but it's fun. It's
Yes,
fitting.
it
You
is
know, I'm
fitting.
I'm so pumped to like just kind of happily and excitingly blow everybody's life today and all that good stuff.
To
But
destroy
yeah.
their fairy tale visions,
Yeah,
destroy
no, for sure.
the
I mean, our
Disney, I don't
yeah.
know, the Disney misbeliefs, and yeah, just like let's just destroy all the fairy
Yes.
tale
Well,
bullshit, basically.
for sure. I think it's really going to help the guys too, because I can already see some of my favorite boys jumping on here from all over the place. But I think it's fun. And well, before we talk about anything, I mean, these guys know who I am. But for anybody who's new, what's up? I'm Alisa Purifico, editor in chief, matchmakerreview.com. But I really want my girl Vanessa here. Please introduce yourself. Who do I have here, my lovely lady? Say
Thank
hey.
you. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I am Vanessa, and I am Vanessa Ringel. My Instagram is at @begravitas, and I am a neuro coach. So I'm a neuro coach, spiritual psychologist. We both come from the background of being matchmakers at 3 Day Rule. So I was the first head matchmaker at 3 Day Rule, and that kind of led me to this. So I work a lot on relationships and love and helping people manifest their soulmates.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, shout
Yeah.
out to 3 Day Roll sisters. What's up?
Yeah, woo.
Right? But no, but I love our chats because you're like so like very rarely do I get to have such cerebral chats with people, and I really enjoy the sense of like science and like just the normalcy you bring to certain thoughts and things. And I think it's really time for guys to totally get like, yo, like, it's not my fault. I don't need to carry this crazy heavy burden of like how to court women and like all this kind of stuff. So
So
anyway, so
confusing. It's more confusing than ever. Like that was what I found even when I was a matchmaker, and I feel like now it's even more confusing. Like 10 years later, and it's like way more confusing, and throwing COVID and throwing all this stuff. It's like people don't know how to behave. They don't know, like, men want to be masculine, but then they're like, they don't, there's hashtag me too. And there's just like all these like mixed messages. So
right.
it's like very confusing for everyone, the whole landscape. So yeah, I'm excited also to ground the woo woo. Like, I love that you said that, like the intellectual conversation, like, yeah, you can be spiritual and like, whatever, like talk about things like manifestation and do it in a way that's very intellectual and grounded. So I love doing that.
Yeah, and I think it's cool because now more than ever, like all of the things that we know need to find synergy and find togetherness if you're going to move forward. Technology, mindfulness, data, everything is really kind of becoming one. So if we can really apply that to dating, because like no longer do like are people actually in that situation, it like really becomes way more, I don't know, savvy in that sense. But I have a
Yes.
question. Tell me a little bit about like your peeps, because I feel like because I think we're double streaming this through Facebook, I think too. But and
Okay, awesome.
I think we get questions through there. I have my trusty Boo Thang sending me comments on that if that happens. But okay, so I want to ask you too, like in your opinion too, give me your thoughts on like let's start with the ladies first, and then let's go to the guys. But like, what do you feel like? Actually, let's start with you. What did you feel like? How did you feel like you would meet your prince?
Oh, my
That you
prince.
have now, your amazing prince that you have now. What did you think would happen?
So and actually I want to preface before I answer that, I love that the way that, because the reason why we decided to have this talk, right, about how
Yeah.
Disney ruined your love life was because that last conversation we had where you were like, we've been like so many people expecting like a prince to come save them, right? And to save them from their lives and save them from themselves. And like, you were saying that like all the, the wrong messaging was kind of given to us at such a young age that we absorbed it subconsciously through all these Disney movies where like most of the princesses were like unconscious while guys were like coming and kissing them, which is a no. Like, no, don't do that. Like, I don't know, the way you said it like cracked me up, but it was so true. Like all these princesses are like unconscious while the prince like comes and saves them from something that they cannot solve themselves. And like, it's such like, so the wrong messaging, right? For women.
Yes.
And
men.
yeah. Yeah, and for men too, right? Like they need to come and like save us and like kiss us when we're unconscious.
Right.
And, like,
Right.
Hashtag me too terrible. Like all of the Disney movies like that crack me up because it's so true. It's so hashtag me too.
But it's a good point though. It makes me think though, like what person like somebody thought of that though. Somebody was like, you know what? I know she's going to be unconscious. And in order for her to reawake, she's got to be kissed by a man without her consent. It's so bizarre. It's just like, who thought of that and wrote it down and then repeated it?
And then repeated it every movie. All the ones we grew up with, right? And the ones today are so different. So like, I actually see the Disney movies now with my son and they're so different. And I'm always like in awe of how like empowered the women are in the new Disney movies. So I feel like there's been a lot of progress and hopefully like the next generations are not going to have these kind of false expectations and these these misbeliefs that hold them back, that they're expecting it to be that way. But yeah, so now back to your question about about how I met my prince. Unconscious. I fell down and he came and made out with me. No, I totally thought that I was going to meet him through matchmaking or through online dating because I was so into that. I was like so in that world and I power dated and I was sure that it was going to happen that way. But then it didn't. It happened like really organically. And it was like the minute that I did this neuro coaching work on myself, because I kind of started to realize like my patterns weren't working for me. I was like, as the matchmaker, like seeing all these other people stuck in their patterns. And like, it was so clear to me that it was an inside out thing that, some people, no matter who we matched them with, like they were just like stuck. And then meanwhile, I had no problem like meeting guys and dating and I would like fall in love constantly. Actually, I like constantly had boyfriends. I was kind of like almost like a love addict. But then they kept exploding like in my face. Like I would be like, I thought I was doing all the things and then like it kept not working out. And so it felt very out of my control. And I was someone who was always very empowered. And so I was like, what is going on? Like, why can't I make this work? And so that led me to study the subconscious mind and all of these tools because I was just fascinated by it. And then I ended up applying all the work to myself and super quickly manifested my husband. So went to, the minute I settled down, like I was always thinking like kind of waiting for my prince idea of like, oh, I won't settle down in an apartment until I find my partner because I don't know where he's going to live. And so I don't want to like be living somewhere and commit to it. And then what if he lives in Brazil? And then it's like, and then I have to move. And so I was like, and I don't want to have a dog because what if he likes a different dog, And so I want to make sure, I didn't want to commit to anything because I was like, when I find the guy, then we can do it all together. And then I hit 29 years old and I was like, oh, I'm almost 30. Like for some reason for me, 29 was like my super scary age, which is ridiculous. But I was like looking back, I'm like, what? But I was like, I'm 29 and now it's like, oh, I'm almost 30 and like, you know what, never mind. Maybe it'll never happen for me. And I just kind of like gave up and I was like, I'm just going to do all this inner work. And then I did everything I wanted by myself, like went on the honeymoon that I wanted. Like I was like, when I meet the guy, I'll go to Southeast Asia. And I just like went by myself. I got the apartment by myself where I wanted it, got the dog of my dreams, got everything myself, and then immediately met my husband, like immediately on the rooftop of the building. So it was just like, yeah. And then it was super aligned, super easy, like no drama. No, like it was just like when I did that inner work, met him, and it was like 1 year later we were engaged and then married, and like everything happened very natural. So I feel like that's how it should be. It should be easy. It should be natural.
Yeah. And so I think what's cool is like, and so we do this with so many other ways. It's not so much about, it's about sort of like finding the right path to like the smoothest line, right? So it's sort of like how do we get from A to B the smoothest, the easiest, the most organically, and like without like really pushing ourselves in ways that we're not comfortable with, but at the same time, not to give up either. Like I think a lot of people are just like, sit back and like, I mean, I was talking to a guy earlier today and he's sweet and super, super sweet, but he's pushing 60 and he's never been in love before. And he's just now deciding he wants to be in a relationship. He's a little bit frustrated at the rate at which it's going. Like I'm 6 months, I've decided he literally said 6 months ago, I decided I wanted to be in a relationship. And I said, dude, you, for 57 years though, you said you didn't want to be in one. So now 6 months, you got to give your life a moment to like catch up. It's going to be a bit until, So I was like, but, keep on those course correction things. But I really want, I think let's use your son too as an example. Does he give you any feedback about like how men are portrayed in these Disney movies or women? Like, does he, I mean, I know he's little, but he talks, right? He says,
well, my son?
Yeah.
I mean, he's 2, but he does talk a lot. He like doesn't stop talking, but not about things that are as complex.
Right.
But no. But I mean, I can see that
Yeah.
that the men in the like Disney movies that he's watching are like much more like they're less masculine or something. Like they less take charge. Like they're less like, oh, I'm
Mm,
going to save the everything. You know, they tend to be a little more like beta or something.
yeah. Yeah.
Is what I'm noticing. And then my husband actually is the one who notices. He's like, oh my god, like like the princes are also like kind of like not the heroes, like not the saviors. It's like mostly the women now are the heroes and the saviors. And he's
Yeah.
kind of like, oh my god, it's been flipped. And I feel like for my husband, I'm like, yeah, women's empowerment. And he's kind of
Yeah.
like, well, but like men can be heroes too. Like, and he
Aw.
feels like,
Yeah.
I think he feels kind of like, I mean, he's a Latin guy too, so he's like a masculine guy.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And he kind of feels, I think he maybe feels that it's like gone to the other extreme. I don't know. That's my impression of what his perspective on it. He's kind of like, oh, like, it's a little too much. Like
Yeah.
like he kind of likes the idea of like men being more masculine and women being more feminine.
Yeah, no, I get that. I was actually about to ask, like, what was his take on it? And I ask guys this a lot, and especially anybody who's watching right now, and if there's any guys, like, I want to know, do guys find strong women attractive, and in what degrees? Sorry, I'm good. Okay, cool. Like, in what degrees, right? So it's like, and I think that's important for men to understand and women understand. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Disney lines already. But still,
Wait,
but
have people, what are they saying? Oh, let's see.
uh,
In Beauty and the Beast Disney version, I've always liked that Belle sang, there's something
there's something
heat.
there.
Oh, there's
There's something
something.
there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and hey, and listen, and I feel like that was the first. It's okay. There's something there. We know what you're saying. But I think what's funny though, it's like, but that was the first time though, it was like there was somebody who was actually like could consider love with somebody that like wasn't like you consider beautiful, right, and all of these things. But even still, like how should men and women start relationships? Who should start, like, and how do women want to be courted? Because I think we know women just want to be heard. We fall in love with our ears, and yet men do everything except listen when it comes to wooing women, and that's because it started somewhere. Like, and Disney is the culprit. And but I feel like that was a big one. So yeah, I mean, do you have any thoughts on like what do you think about like strong women and being like men finding women strong women? Where do you fall on that spectrum? Like, what do you think about all that?
I mean, I'm a strong woman, and
Yeah.
I would say that I think some men do find strong women attractive. Like, I think it kind of depends, but
Yeah.
I'd say like mostly yes. And it kind of depends. Like, you could be a strong woman who's also very feminine. So that's something I work on with clients too, is like some strong women come in very masculine and they don't like, they kind of, it's like across the board.
Yeah.
And that can be kind of emasculating to
Yeah.
men. So it's like if you could attract like a very feminine man if you're very masculine, but if you want a more masculine man, you need to be able to like be in your feminine energy.
Yeah.
And so you can still be really strong in your feminine energy, but but yeah, kind of like bringing both of those things together. And I think I have a tendency to, I think that's because I have a tendency to be more in my masculine, that I have had to work on that a lot, like on myself. That's why maybe I attract a lot of clients like that too, that are like these very high powered, very successful women who really struggle with like getting into their feminine and who have gotten a lot of success from being in their masculine. So like they're just like they get shit done and they're badass. But then when it comes to dating, men do love strong women, but men have also their egos and they want to be boosted too, and they don't want to feel like they're being bossed around, right? Like they're an employee or something of the woman that they're on a date with. Like they want to feel that that they're the man, and so it's like there's a fine line. And I think that it's about learning to use both energies to your advantage, so you can be strong but you can use both energies.
Yeah. So, and not to put you on the spot, and if you don't have an answer, it's cool. But like for layman's terms, for these people who are like, what do you have a way of like, because I think it's important, right? I think it's important for women to not be scared of their badass masculine self. I think it's for guys not to be scared of their feminine energy, because that slight nuance is going to be that beautiful difference. It's going to make that person like really find you interesting and attractive. So how do you like explain to somebody brand new who's really not educated on energies at all, like how would you explain, like how would you start tapping, like telling them to like start tapping into those things? Like what would you
Yeah. And what is the difference? That's a great question. So yeah, I mean, I can 100% answer that. So it's masculine energy is like this energy. It's like the go, 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 do, like,
Yeah.
it's like that energy. And then like everything else is feminine energy, basically. It's the receiving, it's the nurturing, it's everything else. So, when you're like a go-getter and you're making things happen, and like that's important, right? Like if you were just in your feminine energy, you would just be like, oh, relaxing all day and receiving and nurturing and enjoying, but you wouldn't like get anything done. So we all have both. We all have masculine and feminine, but it's just like in what percentage. And so the more people who are more masculine tend to kind of work well with someone who's more feminine, because it's like a yin and yang. So it's like the feminine will kind of calm the masculine down and kind of help nurture it. And then, and then the other one will motivate, right? Like the feminine energy and get her to like get that part to do more, right? And to accomplish more. So it's like usually in a relationship, someone is more of one and the other's more of the other.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think the way to tap into more of the feminine energy is to get more into your ability to receive. So I think a lot of people, while they can accomplish a lot and get a lot done, and they're very like, they have that kind of a drive. And I think that's very encouraged in Western society to like make it happen for yourself, get out there, go do it, accomplish. And it's like, if there's a wall, break through it, and like get there, versus the receiving and the nurturing energy. And sometimes it's like that soft energy, like you can get a lot of what you want with that softer energy, like kind of go around it, find other ways. Like it's more open. Sometimes things happen that you don't even notice them because you're so stuck in like things being this way, that something happens this way or that way, and you're not really open to receiving. So people can't manifest if they're only in one. And so it's like tuning into that, to being a better receiver, being more nurturing, being more, like less trying to make it happen for yourself and more just like going with the flow. It's like that difference. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. No, it's just really like channeling. Like, are you putting out or are you receiving? Like, you can't do both. Both. There's like, you got two directions and you have to consciously be focused on one or the other. I was going to ask you too, do you feel like that is circumstantial to like your environment, or is that DNA? Like, do you think we're born pre-wired that way, or do you feel like our environments when we're young, like was it between ages 1 and 6, right? Like really impressionate. What's the word? I don't know. What's the word I'm saying? But you really
impress upon you. Yeah.
Thank
totally.
you. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. I think it's like in the womb, like up until like age like 7 or 8 is really when your subconscious mind is formed. And it's like, even in the womb, and then epigenetics, like you epigenetically absorb things from like, from your family. And so I think it's 100% from that. Like, I don't think you're not genetically hardwired to be one way. It's more of like a learned thing for sure.
Okay.
And so you can change it. Like you can 100% change it. You can learn to be more, you can learn to be a bit different. I mean, you obviously have a range. Like if you're extremely, extremely feminine, and like, let's say you're a man that's very much in your feminine energy. I have a client like that right now he knows it. He's like extremely feminine. People always like, he has a lot of trouble attracting women because he's so feminine. But he's straight, like, and he wants women, but he just, for some reason, absorbs maybe a lot of his mom's energy, or I don't know, somehow he's like very much like that. And he's not like, good at like making things happen for himself, and not much of a go-getter. And so that's not very attractive to a lot of women, because women tend to be drawn more to the masculine energy. And so he's working on that, but it's not natural to him. So, and he's older. And so it's like the older you are, the harder it is to change it.
Yeah, no, I can see some of these powerful women on this. I love it on this live. And cause I think it's so important. It's so, cause like what I hate, right? We have these really like, we have these beautiful guys. Oh, I saw it earlier. Do you know John Mulaney? I don't know, the comedian John Mulaney. Have you heard of him?
I've heard of him. Yes.
Okay. So check him out.
By the way, someone just said we're better than Comedy Central.
Yes.
You two are better. Thank you.
My gosh. Yeah, please. Right. I don't know if they would agree, but thank you. But what I was going to say was, but what's so crazy is like, it's like really how these things kind of play with each other. Like, what are the things we can do at a young age to really make sure that we understand certain places and, understand how, if we're strong, not to shy away from it, but find the guys who do like that. And then the guys vice versa. Is there any way, because I think a lot of people, we assume a lot of people are more self-aware than they really are, and they want to be. They want to be. I think we all want to be like the keepers of our own selves, right? But in reality, a lot of people aren't. So what would you say are like some ways people can like check what kind of energy they have? Like, maybe what if they don't know? Like, what if they're like, I don't know, I think I'm this way, but maybe I'm really that way. Is there any way like?
Yeah, that's a great question, how to check it. I think if you find that things are hard for you and you power through them and you make them happen, but like you find that like you're someone who's like yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think you can ask people around you.
Yeah.
I think most people, I feel they do know. I mean, this is maybe the people that come to me, but most of my clients do know that they want to be more feminine.
Sure.
And they don't exactly know how. That's the part that's harder for them. But the masculine energy, I think it's like, I mean, being very much in your feminine would be like not much is getting done. Like if you're too much in your feminine, it's like you're just like very receiving and nurturing, but you're not very driven. And you might feel kind of like a little bit disempowered, like not much is happening for you. And if you're maybe too much in your masculine, it's like a lot is getting done and you're like powering through a lot, but things feel hard and they feel very like, it's like all up to you. And it's like you against the world. And there's a lot of kind of like competitive energy. You're competing with others. Right. And like, that's the masculine. Yeah. And so if you're too much in that kind of a thing, then you want to like get more into like receiving and being more in the flow and just like letting go of control. So a lot of it has to do with control too. So like the masculine is very controlling. So if you tend to be more controlling, you're probably more in your masculine. And if you tend to be more like whatever happens, happens. Like, I'm not going to plan. I'm just going to let it be. And, kind of like that, then you're more in your, in your feminine but like you can be both. So it's like having a balance is so important. So you want to be able to sometimes draw from that nurturing, relaxing, going with the flow. Like, you know what, I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to try to control it. I mean, there's like a trust that is needed to just be like, whatever's meant to be will be. And I'm going to be accepting and receiving of whatever that is. And so like tuning into that. And then also, sometimes it's like worth it to like, you know what, I'm going to work for this. I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to make, I'm going to stand up for myself, or I'm going to make this happen for myself. So it's like, I think it's like really knowing, when it feels right to use the different energies, or even to use both of them in a certain way. So like you can stand up for yourself in a more nurturing kind of in a more feminine way. So it's like you stand up for yourself, but in like a loving, more receiving way than it would be like to stand up for yourself aggressively and like fight for it.
Yeah.
Like you can just, so there's like different ways to do it. So you can incorporate both. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm definitely hearing, and you can kind of put yourself in like what ways you deal with situations. But I think it's powerful, for people to like understand, like, I think what's most important is what I hear from singles like over and over and over again is like the amount of self-deprecation that happens on dates, where like they're more concerned with like what they think this picture should be like of dating, and they're like it's almost like they're envisioning this book and they're like trying to illustrate this book, and if it doesn't play out that way, it went wrong. And it's crazy because like we know it's never going to go that way. It never does. So it's like, let's not pretend it will. It's not actually a movie that you can rewind and fast forward to give you the same outcome. So it's like, we know that, but we still expect it, which is weird. So it's like, how, it's like if we can really accomplish being totally cool with how you bring yourself to the table, and literally knowing that there is someone that has that equal balance of energy that complements you somewhere, like your life would be so much better, because people are way too polarized. Like there's so many dynamics and ranges and spectrums of like energy, and like isn't that crazy to think? Like that blows my mind. Like it blows my mind to think like where do I fall on the masculine feminine spectrum most of the time? Like what decisions do I make mostly masculine?
What would you say? Would you say you're more in the masculine or more in the feminine? If you had to work on one, what would it be?
I think I'd have to probably work on my feminine, probably. I mean, I've always been very, very take initiative. And then, I mean, and my husband and I talk about that. We talk about that all the time too, because he's very into his feminine side and is very creative and nurturing and loving in that way. And we work on like, how do we not forget though, right, that he's still a man and wants to be a man, and I'm still a woman, and I am a woman, right? And so here we go. We got Bella's on.
Yeah. Yeah, Alan has to go, but that he's really enjoyed the chit chat from a male perspective. That's great to hear.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. Nice
I would like, if you have any questions, by the way, if anybody has any questions, feel free to to ask us, and we will definitely answer them.
Yeah, please. I know I'm like, Alisa, yeah, go ahead. Just put them in the comments or write a question. But, and I think a lot of people too, like they always want to know, like, how do they make it like real life actions? Like, how do I take okay, cool. They're like into it. They're like, I get it. Like, I need to be more open-minded. Like, how do they, like, get on a date? Like, I'm trying to, like, give them ideas of, like, okay, you're on a date. Like, how do you kind of, like, check yourself and, not, like, and that's with the ladies, right? Like, if they're trying to be more feminine, it's, like, really, I don't know. I'm, like, trying to give them tools. You know this.
Yeah. Are you dominating? Are you dominating? Are you taking control of the date? So if, like, a guy... I have two clients right now that are exactly in that situation. Like a girl that, one of my clients, female clients, who's like way too much in her masculine, and she like takes charge of all the dates and controls them. And like, even from before the date, like she's like telling them what to do. And like, she has an idea of like how it should be done and the right way. Right. And it's very much like anything else is not right. And so she's like, kind of dominating the guys that she goes out with, and it's weird for them because like they just start texting her. She's already like telling them like she's doing all the work for them, because and then she's feeling like they're not doing she's like so type A that she's like they're taking too long, they're not doing it right, so I'm just gonna do it for them. And then and then it comes to but like she doesn't want that, she doesn't want to be like that, but it's like she can't even help herself because she has this very type A type of personality. And then there, on the flip side, there's, a guy who's, very, more very much in his feminine. He wants to find love and he wants a relationship, but he's like not able to take charge enough. Like he kind of is very beta. And so it's like he loves strong women. This guy loves strong women, and the women take charge, but then they're not turned on by it. Like they don't like that he's kind of letting them do everything. Yeah. And he just doesn't, and it's all partially confidence as well. I think he doesn't have the confidence to take charge because he's scared to do the wrong thing or to mess up. And so he doesn't, he kind of like second guesses himself a lot and whatever. So it's like, like you want to like take charge as a man, it's like very attractive when men take charge and, and are proactive. And as a woman, it's very attractive when you're nurturing and receiving and allowing and trusting the guy to do that. Men tend to like that.
You're right. You said the key word, proactive. I think initiative, proactiveness. I think, and especially as women, like especially if we're moms and we have kids, we just naturally go into a sort of like execution mode where it's like we as women take initiative to like get as many things done as possible and all these sort of things, but men historically and culturally haven't been pushed to do those sorts of things. They've been more pushed for image things, so it's really like giving them a chance to catch up and really understand how they're seen. And you said it perfectly. I think this is, if anybody wants to take an exercise away from tonight, it is ask your 3 closest people in your life like what their situation is, like seriously, like what they think of you, like what your issue is, like what your mirrors, right? Like, and that's really, they'll give it to you, right? Because even if you think you're one way, how many times you're like, I'm this and that, and your best friend's like, yeah, no, you're not, but
I don't think of I think of myself as being pretty like balanced, but then I think my husband would think maybe that I could be more in the feminine. And I still, I work on it all the time, but it's hard because I am so proactive and I am so I know what I want, and I'm used to making it happen. I'm a massive manifester. And so it's still always a constant struggle for me to like sit back, go with the flow, not try to do it the way I think it should be done. Like sometimes, the perfectionism or whatever, like this is the right way. It's like, there's a lot of ways to do something. And just trusting that my way is not always the best way, even though it feels like my way is always the best way. but it is. But it is. But it is.
Yeah.
But it is. Yeah. We're pretty. Yeah. the thing is, like, women, we can be, yeah, we can be amazing bosses, and that's the thing. And like, I think it's been repressed for so long, so there's also this feeling of like now we're standing up and we're able to to be the bosses that we were always meant to be on some level, you know. And after so many generations of not being allowed to do that, to shine in that way, so there, I feel like it's very interesting. And at the same time, you know, I wouldn't want a super feminine guy who just did anything I wanted and who didn't take charge. So it's like, I need to learn to do that, so that, especially in my relationship with my husband, it's so important that he does take charge. And so I try, you know, to empower him to do that, and to be more, to let him like be the one to make decisions, and to even, you know, like, to do things his way. And he has a strong personality, and he's like, he is a masculine guy. He's a very masculine guy, but he's also like, he's both. And I think that's also a thing. 'Cause like now with kids, like he's very nurturing and he's very loving, and he's, you know, very, you know, we do half and half when it comes to our son. Like we're both very involved. And I think that's the new way, but it didn't used to be like that. Like the men used to like go to work, and the woman would be, you know, in the home, and like we had very clear roles. Right. And now the roles are very, you know, I think more interesting, but like less clear.
Right. No, it's true. I love that. No, it's true. I think it's, I get more interested in people like the more time goes on, because people are becoming more and more, they're just becoming more and more in tune with their dynamics of who they are, and all the, whoever they are, you know, heterosexual, homosexual, trans, boys, girl, everybody. And it's just sort of this, we're slowly but surely getting to this place where it's like you can just start to pay attention to energies instead of this person looks or feels, because people feel so much less lonely. There's no reason anybody should ever be alone. Like you can actually, it's actually not difficult to get an energy that matches you. It's just hard to figure out how to get there. And I like to explain it to people, and I love, and I think we talked about this last time. But like it's just like, it literally is like working out, like getting in shape, losing weight, any of this stuff. It's like, it is not going to happen eating pizza on the couch. It's just not. Like,
it's just not, like,
make a meal plan. You're going to work out. You're going to do all the things, and you're going to commit to it for like 6 months. You're going to wake up and be like, am I possessed? Like, what am I doing? But every day you're going to do those things, and dating's the same way. Your love's the same way. These energies are the same way. And so,
yes.
Hopefully
being empowered, I think that's what we were talking about, like being empowered in your love life. Like, so all these like very empowered women who are so empowered in every other way, right? And like in their masculine energy, like making things happen for themselves. But then when it comes to love and dating and relationships, like they are like, oh, well, like, then that's where like Disney ruined their love life or whatever is ruining like a lot of our love lives, right? The idea that like, oh, well, but that should just happen naturally. The prince should just come and rescue me and show up, and it should just all be perfect, like fairy tale ever after kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they don't see that like it's, you know, it's the same work and energy, and like the same way that they're empowered about all these other areas, and they invest money and they invest time and they invest like, you know, all of their stuff into these other areas to make that manifest and happen for themselves. But then they're like, when it comes to dating, relationships, love, I'm just going to sit back and, like you said, kind of like watch TV and eat pizza, and it'll just come to me. And that should just be natural. And it's like, no, like not, I don't know that it ever was like that. Maybe it was like back in the day, but no, like now it's like, you need to make it happen for yourself the same way as you make anything happen for yourself.
Well, and it's so funny because like, and you know, like there's a difference between like something being natural and something being passive, right? Like it can be natural and you can be proactive about it, but you still have to like put yourself in a situation. But what's funny is like back in the day, and still in many cultures too, like you were set up, like you were set up by whoever had the money. And it was like, figure it out. Sorry. And then over the years, it was like, okay, fine. You can pick who you want. But then everybody was like, I don't know. It's like, it's weird. So we just became a society of like, it's like, you know, I want it to be easy, or, you know, it's just, I don't know what happened, but it's,
and also we expect so much from our partners. It used to be kind of like, oh, you are matched, the matchmaker or whatever, the local matchmaker matches you. And it's like, if you're lucky, you get along, and then over time you grow to love each other, and you're compatible, and like that's all that mattered, right? And maybe you have enough money to like raise children and, you know, have a nice life. And now it's like people want like a soulmate and a, you know, and a partner and a best friend, and also like they see what's possible in terms of like all these different things. It's like men will want a supermodel, or want like a, you know, the wealthiest man, or they'll want like all of. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people just want like truly like a best friend, soulmate, partner, but like so many different things, financial partner. It's like you want someone who's going to be, you know, and a lot of people even spiritual, they want like someone who's on the same level as them spiritually. And I don't blame them. I mean, I wanted that, right? But like so many things that we want that makes it a lot harder to find all that, because it's not just like, oh, we'll learn to, we get along and we'll learn to like each other, love each other. It's like, has to be all the things. And even like co-parenting, like, someone who's going to want to parent the same way, because now men and women are just as important in how children are raised. So it's like, you need to agree on that too. There's just so many ways in which like you need to be compatible.
Yeah.
And it becomes a lot harder. And like, that's something like Esther Perel talks about that, like that we expect so much from our partner now more than ever. It's like, it used to be like also that like a society would raise children. Like you'd be in a town and everybody would help. And now it's like, you're kind of like an island with your person, like your partner, and you do everything together.
Yeah.
And it's like you have all the responsibilities, and it's a little bit like, it's like a lot that falls on the couple versus it being like the whole town.
Yeah. No, and it's complex, right? Because it's sort of like, it's like, what do you do? How do you do it? And it's confusing. I don't blame people. It's difficult because it really comes down to setting expectations, setting your own, how to find the right ones, like how to not set yourself up for like lonely failure. And really the theme here is like figuring out what's reality and what's fantasy. I don't think enough people say out loud what they actually want, because you said it too. You're like, there's how many of those old belly dudes are like, I really want a model. And you're like, because you're a model? It's like, it's just not enough people like hold a mirror up to themselves. I don't just mean physically. I mean like in every way. So it's like, if we can get people to just, and not in sad ways, but like in more proactive, like, and daily ways, like really reflect on themselves and say it, I think they'll start to actually like self-calibrate their own expectations, right? Because it's only in the labyrinth of our own minds do we believe does that guy believe he deserves like Giselle? It's like, well, no, bro, you don't. Like, I know you understand. And so many of them, like, we all think
they're the most insecure, in my opinion and in my experience, the most insecure men are the ones who want that, because they want to prove something. They want to prove that they are worthy. It's all about status. And so it's more of like a trophy. Like, look at my trophy. Like, I am worthy. I got this hot girl. And so it's less about their inner experience. Like once if they're confident, like it's less about impressing other people. And so I find that very interesting, because I find the least confident clients I've had are the ones who need the supermodels that are like super picky about like all these like physical things.
Yeah, for sure. No, a couple things too, and then I want you to go snuggle with your little boo-boo thing, because it's Friday, and I mean, come on now, it's like the best night snuggle boo thing. Because I know we're like doing a whole bunch of cross streaming. I think mainly the boys on Instagram, but I know there's a lot of beautiful, strong, smart, intelligent ladies across Facebook that are watching this too. And then we're gonna repurpose this and make it a sitting video anyway, and they will watch this later. But awesome. I wanted, because I know, and I wanted anybody who's like coming in and out, because you can really help them, and you really just help just so many people like really just get perspective on who they are. So any other tips on like how to, for the strong ladies particularly, like how can they get some perspective, and also too, if they want to connect with you or get a piece of your course, like what's the deal with that, girl? You got something with that.
Thank you. Yeah. So Manifest Your Soulmate, I have a masterclass, and then I also have like an online program that teaches you to neuro coach yourself for love. And it's a 10-week program. And so they can access that. I think it's in my bio. It's like in the link tree or whatever, which is at Be Gravitas, BeGravitas, Gravitas. It's basically about being in your gravitas, right? So gravitas is about that energetic ability to attract your heart's desire. Yeah. And so it's like, be gravitas, be that magnetic force. Yes. And it's like when you see people, right, that have gravitas, they have this presence, and it's that energy. It's that they have that, they are magnetic to what they want. Yeah. And so we all have that ability. It's not like only a few people are like, I don't know, special, and only they have access to that. It's like everyone has access to that. It's just that we don't get taught how to create that, how to foster that, how to become that. So it's a skill like anything. It's like a muscle that you develop. And so I teach people how to do that, how to get clarity also on what they want so that they're more likely to attract it, and then also to embody what they want and to create neural pathways for it. So it becomes familiar, and then it becomes so much more likely to become true for them, because the subconscious mind loves what's familiar, as you know. And so hence the, you know, this Disney thing, it's like, yeah, like when your subconscious mind was formed at a very young age. So even though you might know now that like no prince and a white horse is going to come and save you and whatever, like you might know that I'm sure that like you're a smart person and you know that that's not going to happen. But like subconsciously, you might still be kind of thinking that that's what's going to happen. Like you might still be expecting that or waiting for that, because that was like when so much of our subconscious was formed, was at that very young age, when we took it in like sponges. Like we didn't have the critical mind where we could decide like, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, I want this or I don't want that. You just like took it all in.
Right.
And so now is the time to rewire. Like the good news is that you can rewire it. So you can rewire your mind at any age due to neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
And you can wire in what you do want and change your beliefs so that you can manifest the life you want.
Yeah.
And so I'm very passionate about this, as you can tell.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so, final tips that I can leave you guys with would be, try to get more into your feminine energy by letting go of control. Like one thing a day that you normally would control, like start with like one thing a day where you're just going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to control this. I'm going to see what happens. And I've done this a lot, like experiment with myself, and it's so uncomfortable to do, but easier said than done. But like to just be like, you know what? I'm not going to be proactive about this. I'm not going to try to control this. I'm going to see what comes to me. I'm going to receive whatever is and be grateful for whatever is. And like, just let go with like one thing per day, and start that as like a practice. And then you'll start to live in more to your feminine energy.
Yeah, I like that. One thing per day. I think it's saying we can all handle that. And by the way, we'll put your details to like your profile stuff in the below all the videos and stuff, so all these people hopping in and out and who watch this later can hop to you. But I think it's important, like one per day. Commit to yourself, just like a workout. You work out once a day. You know, and same with your love life and yourself too. Like one thing at a time. I think the moral of our story is that it's not going to come to you all by itself and without effort. It's just like everything else, day by day, bit by bit, and it'll come to you. Just stick with the right sources and we'll get you
yes there. And you know what, and one other thing that if you want to get extra credit, another thing you could do is one thing per day. If you're single and you want to have a partner, you want a relationship, then you know, every day do something, put energy towards that. Like one thing that you do that you're investing in that area of your life. So I can't tell you how many people, it's like their number one priority is to find love or find a relationship, and then they're doing nothing about it. So if you're one of those people, just do something every day that's, you know, putting some energy into it, whatever that is. Could be, you know, reaching out to someone on an app. It could be, you know, just invest in different ways. You know, hiring a coach. It could be, you know, it could be reading a book that is related to that. It could be working on yourself in some way, like anything that's going to help improve your love life and your personal life. Don't just think that should just happen by itself.
Love it. Go girls. Preach it. I mean, I can't end it any better than that. That was just like gospel. Yes. Gospel, girl. Oh my God. Seriously. I love it. All right. I'm gonna put all your stuff below too. So anybody that wants to join, but it was so awesome chatting with you. I love it, per always.
Likewise. I feel like we could go on for this is so much fun. And we have another one coming up soon. We have so I'm excited for that.
I love it.
Awesome.
Yes, all you people grumbling, like give us ideas because we'll chat about it. But in the meantime, go kiss your little boo-boo thing. And it was so awesome.
Thank you, my little boo-boo thing.
Right?
Yes. Oh, you're so cute. Yes.
So, all right, girl,
thank you. Such a pleasure.
Yeah, girl. Talk soon. Bye.
Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.